nothing down.
Is this 9-ball?
Johnny want to roll? Yeah, 9-ball.
No, remember the breaker is the first shooter.
Oh, breaker's also first shooter? That's how much I know about 9-ball. So Johnny, do you must have a lot of people ask you about how you train. But I've seen you do like crazy heavy shit, and then I've also seen you do, you know, squeezing and holding, like on the tricep press downs today, you were doing some squeezing and shit. So what do you say to people when they ask you about your training style? What do you tell them?
Man, God, I mean, as you know, and we talked about this before, like I've been training since I was 8 years old, you know, and I turned 43 this year. And through all that time, believe it or not, I've learned that there's many different styles of training, not just one, like a robot, you know what I mean? You're programmed to do one thing, you know, like, or if like you, a factory worker, you know, that a worker that goes into work every day and have one job. Maybe your one job is to press the knob, you know, of whatever machine that's going through, you just press that knob. You know what I mean? And working out isn't like that. You don't go in like that job and stand there for how many amount of hours and press the knob. You know, it's the same motion, it's the same thing every day. And you can complete the job by doing that one motion. You know what I mean? That one job, that one deal. With the working out, you know, you always have to, you know, trick your body, fool your body, manipulate your body into thinking, you know, sometimes you're doing something different, you know, so it responds, because sometimes, you know, you hit the wall or you plateau, and it's very easy for your body to be able to do this. So you have to come up with different concepts when you go into the gym to avoid hitting the wall, you know, or hitting a plateau, you know. So it's absolutely what you said. Some days I feel really good and I know what I can do, so I come in and, you know, really fully take out my aggression, you know, in the gym. Other days I'm a little bit sluggish, depending on if I got a good night's sleep.
Or sore joints.
You know, or it was the workout the day before really hard and I don't have that oomph like I did the next day. So then, you know, being a thinker and smart person that I am, I take a step back and I don't go as heavy and hard. And I do a little bit slower and a little bit squeezing. But I do prefer the heavy, hard, wild way, because that's what's fun for me.
Right.
And whatever I do in life, I try to make it fun. You know what I mean? Because if it's fun, I'm going to do it harder and I'm going to do it more often.
Yeah. And
if I hate it, then I'm not going to do it as much.
Yeah.
And it's not going to be as effective, and I'm not going to be as successful.
But you'd say whether you're training like squeezing or whether you're training your style, you're still training to failure all the time. You still got to go to failure.
Well, absolutely.
You're still training hard.
The whole thing is the style is different, but the goal is the same.
Same, yeah.
And the goal is to progress, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be the best at what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you got to implement different things, you know, within what you're doing. You know, it's like you got to, you know, graduate or you got to grow with the times.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I
mean.
can still be stuck in, you know, 1971 when I was born and wearing my, you know, bell bottoms and stuff like this and walking around with high collars, but I don't think it'll be accepted so much. So I had to grow with the times because we're now in 2014.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And that's not too cool. So it's the same thing with training. As you train, as you grow into the times of, and your body's more mature.
Your body tells
what
you.
What you've done before not necessarily may work for you now because your body has matured. So you got to figure out something different to manipulate it to get through, you know what I mean? That get through and make it to that next level.
What about you, Gabe? How would you describe your training style? Because I've seen you do 5-plate squats for 12 reps, but I've also seen you curl 20-pound dumbbells to failure. So I think the fans see the videos and they get confused. They're like, wait, I thought Gabe was strong. Why is he curling 20s? That's ridiculous. But, you know, they don't make the connect that there's so many different ways to train. So how would you describe your style?
Well, I think we've all got method to our madness.
Yeah.
And like Johnny said, you know, the end result is, or the end goal is all the same for all of us. You know, we want to be bigger. We want to be.
I'm up, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. You know, we all the goal is to, you know, hypertrophy. You know,
Yeah.
put on muscle. You know, and how you get there is just by years and years of pass or fail. You know.
And isn't it pretty much important that you reach that, but you do it in a safe way,
Sure.
in the most effective way for
I
you?
always say my favorite saying is risk to benefit ratio.
Yes.
You know, keep the risk low and the benefit high. You know, and for me, you know, you know, I'm a taller guy, right? I'm 6'2". You know, my levers are longer. You know, and so when I step underneath, you know, let's say for instance, like, God, I don't know, leg extensions is a good one. I don't know a person on this earth or somebody in the gym that you haven't talked to that doesn't have a shoulder issue, a knee issue, a hip issue, some kind of an issue, you know. And it's usually related to something, you know, prior that it's not always something they did in the gym. It could be a car accident, it could be sports injury, it could be, you know, anything like that. You know, and for me, you know, being a longer limbed guy, I feel like for myself, the slower I take the movement, the less risk I take building up momentum and kinetic energy. Because for me, let's take like a leg extension or a squat. You know, on the eccentric movement, you know, if you build up too much speed, for me, going into the bottom of a squat, let's say, then I have to stop that kinetic energy and restart it to get the momentum to go back up. To me, that's too much stress, too much everything on the connective tissue, and I could just picture, I could just feel it happen before it happens, you know, type thing, and I don't want that to happen. So my deal is just ultimate control.
I feel what you're saying. I think because we have similar frames, you know.
Yeah, tall guys.
I feel what you're saying.
So what do you prefer? I mean, you're asking us here, Mr. Interviewer. You know what I mean? About what about us? What about you? What do you prefer? Not your, you know, what you call your style or whatever.
Gabe 3 in it, right?
What do you prefer to do?
I think we accidentally 5'd it thinking it was a 3, but there we go.
Yeah, do you prefer going in and training hard and heavy and just
you know,
going at it angrily? Or do you like the control factor?
I call it controlled aggression.
Yeah, well, I like to think that I like to focus on taking the muscle to failure. The muscle has to fail. Like that's I train to failure a lot. It has to fail. I have to not be able to move another.
And I understand this, but I'm wondering your first thought of, you know you got to train the muscle to failure. Now, your first thought is training the muscle to failure. Like you come in and say, I'm going to train the muscle to failure by just going after it, or do you think I'm going to train to failure, but I'm going to play it safe and make sure.
I think it depends on it depends on it depends on the exercise, and I think Gabe was kind of speaking my language there when he was talking about having longer limbs. I feel certain things way better with light weights. Well, and I use the word light. I mean, still failing. Like I'm only getting 8 reps.
Let's talk about light versus heavy. This shit's all relevant, man.
Yeah.
Johnnie Jackson's a goddamn freak, but he busted his ass to get there, right? So what's light to Johnnie ain't going to be light to me or to Ron or vice versa. You know, it's like, and we all have our strengths and our weaknesses. So, you know, it's relative. You know, what's light, what's heavy, it's relative.
Well, I think that's what people don't get more than not. It's not about challenging the other person and see if the other person can keep up with you. It's about going in the gym, challenging yourself. Whether you can stay focused, whether you can complete your workout without getting hurt, and whether you can get that good pump, get that good mind to muscle connection that you ought to get, so you get the growth and the effect that you need to get to look like
it really varies.
Stage.
It really varies. Like if I'm deadlifting or doing certain chest exercises or certain leg exercises, I would say it probably appears to the outsider like I'm training heavy, using bigger weights. And then I'll go to the next exercise and they might be confused. But that's just because that exercise feels better a certain way, and then the next exercise feels better.
Well, you also got to take into consideration a compound movement versus a single lever movement, you know, the isolated movements, you know, all these things differ, you know, and when it comes to biceps or something like that, let's just take biceps, that's a good one. I'll go with that one. Biceps, you know, for me, I don't need a lot of weight. It's a small muscle group, or muscle belly, and I don't need to go super, super heavy, to train that muscle. In fact, I prefer to go with the, slow,
more moderate,
squeeze, real, whatever it takes, right? I mean,
I think the key word into what he's saying is I.
Yeah,
exactly. Absolutely.
He's not saying you.
No.
He's not saying all of you.
Yeah, no.
He's saying I.
Yeah.
So if people can get that concept of he's looking out for what's going to make him a champion.
See, another thing people don't do, I think a lot of the younger guys, it takes so long for them to learn this. Your body will tell you. It's all about feedback.
If you're listening.
Absolutely.
Like I remember, I trained Dorian style for like 12 years when I was a kid. Like I went like 6 reps on everything, 4 reps on everything, and I would get sore. Like I'd always be sore. But eventually I started getting a lot of injuries and nags and stuff. I thought, man, I got to learn, maybe there's a better way for me to, be able to train without having sore joints and injuries all the time.
Right.
So I started playing with things. And now I can do lat pull downs with like 160 pounds, and my lats feel like they're going to explode. They're so full of blood. And the next day my lats will be sore.
Yeah, because that connection that you have.
So I got a good connection now, Whereas, if I do one-arm dumbbell rows, I can row the 200,
Right.
But I can't go with those types of weight on the next back exercise. I might do a hammer machine with 2 plates, and then the next hammer machine I'm using 4 plates. But it's just how it feels for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I trained with you. I mean, I went lighter than you on some things, same weights on other things.
Right.
It was funny. I don't even remember who's up. Johnnie?
Yep.
Johnny's at 5. Or I don't know what number we're on. We're shooting at the orange one.
Me and myself, I work out. You guys know I work out with Branch Warren.
Yeah.
On a everyday basis, and even though we train together, and it seems like we train the same, but we don't. We totally have two totally different styles. I'm a power lifter. You know what I mean? And he lifts heavy. You know what I mean? And they're 2 different things. And what revealed this is we sometimes go off on a powerlifting regimen almost strictly and get away from bodybuilding. And once we do this, unfortunately, somewhere in there, pretty much halfway through the cycle, he'll tweak something or pull something or something like this where I'm still fresh and still going. But I've been doing that style for so many years. My body's built to be able to last through this. You can't just jump in and think you're going to do this for longevity and survive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your body's got to be fixed to be able to train that certain way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially when it's that extreme.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, it just shows, if you really pay attention, even though some guys train together and seem the same, if you watch their styles, you'll see the difference in how they lift that same weight.
Yeah, see,
you can see the difference in it.
What about feedback? Like for me, if I train, let's say I train back, and after my back workout, my back is completely engorged with blood, head to neck to hip, armpit to armpit, and my biceps aren't really that pumped. I feel like that's kind of my goal, to get my back destroyed but not feel like my biceps are destroyed too. And then if the next day I wake up and my whole back is sore, I feel like I did that's feedback telling me that I used my back. I mean, I always hear guys, I train back and the next day my rear delts and biceps are sore. I'm like, well, you got to figure some stuff out here because you're mechanically, you got to quit doing everything
and
the way.
that's the difference between you and I right there. Because I'll wake up and that shit's sore too, and I don't give a shit. I feel just as good. I want them to be just as sore as my back.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know I want my back. I worked out on back, and my back is going to be sore, ain't no doubt. But other things around it is sore too. And I'm like, cool. You know what I mean? That shit hurt like hell. But hell, I destroyed, you know what I mean? I destroyed everything. And so when I'm in the gym, when I work out, if you really pay attention to me, I work out from the ground up. I use every muscle that God gave me when I get in the gym, no matter what body part I'm using. You know what I mean? I'm stabilizing myself. I'm, giving support to that the muscle that I'm isolating that day. I still give support to that, regardless. you know, and because of the heavier weight, it affects other muscles. So, and that's what how our workout differs from other people, because it's not so much of an isolation movement, it's a more of a power and destroy the muscle, because it's going to grow back bigger, heavier, you know what I mean, and stronger. And but just try not to destroy it to where you're injured yourself.
Yeah, there's definitely exercises that I definitely on purpose do that on.
Right.
Like, you know, I mean, people like deadlifting's head to toe.
Yeah.
Like, you're not
It's not
just
back. Everything is not back. It's your body. It's
you
a
know,
body workout.
You do it on back day because we're bodybuilders, and that's kind of where it goes. But yeah, I know what you mean. Definitely. Oh, I thought that was going in. And now you left it nowhere for me.